Hello, and welcome to episode 111 of the Great Canadian Hockey Podcast. I'm James Parisi here with my co-host Aiden Sarah, where we talk about how we know nothing about hockey and how we could not select a bracket for the life of us, and how year after year, every prediction James makes about playoffs is vastly, wildly, uselessly incorrect. But you still pay attention to it anyways, because you like us for some reason. But here we are. The conference finals are over for one side, not even close to over on the other. And you know what? Playoff hockey's a good time. Aiden, how are we doing, fella? How's the start of this summer weather, end of hockey season treating you? What's going on in your end?
All over the place. Hockey season was Calgary this year. Hockey season's over. So this process of getting all this crap packed up and coming back to Maple Ridge has been all right.
You've seen
Yeah.
planes, trains, and automobiles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much been your life lately, right?
Yeah. Well, and even for a while, like when we started this podcast, it was like planes, trains, and automobiles was where I was working on it always. Like I always had myself editing an episode or making graphics on a bus to a hockey game or on a plane back and forth from Ridge to Calgary, and we're back here. And James, unfortunately, I'm back here just a flash too late for us to watch your team play playoff hockey.
Just on the planes, trains, and automobiles beat, are you John Candy or Steve Martin in that movie?
I feel
Are you
like
are you wildly optimistic and happy about the adventure, or are you just like, let's get this over with? I'm
I was
so sick of this.
I was actually about to say I've definitely gone from John. I was John Candy, but I'm no longer.
Mm,
It's a curve in how many times you have to do it over and over again.
yeah, yeah, 100% get that. But you're happy to be back in BC. Aiden is once again a BC guy, and not a moment too soon or too late because the FIFA World Cup's coming pretty soon, dude.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the fact that Alberta is not going to be part of Canada eventually. But yeah,
We're
the
not
World
going
Cup
there.
too. The World Cup
We're not
too.
going there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Science World is a soccer ball now.
I
So,
saw that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not going to get into the politics of that either. I'm just like tiptoeing
About
through all the political things here.
the politics of it being a soccer ball.
Yeah, yeah. It was paid for with taxpayer dollars.
Oh,
So
I mean, the
they're
whole
like
thing
mad
always
that
is. It's the same as the Olympics, guy. Yeah, like it always is, and it feels like when the
again,
thing
I'm
happens.
tiptoeing through.
Yeah, well, it feels like when the event happens, everybody's all of a sudden like coming to the conclusion that was always going to be the case. Like, when did it get announced that Canada was hosting the World Cup? That's when we knew this was all going to happen with taxpayer dollars. So we can all calm down and this has been like a decade in the making. Let's yeah,
And
it's
dog, you're
silly.
paying taxes anyway. Get
Yeah,
over it.
it's well, and you know what? Yeah, it is a little bit silly that the most like FIFA's a bunch of robber barons. All right, FIFA pillage
Robber barons. I've
places.
never
Yeah,
heard this term.
yeah. FIFA pillage places for everything they have. It's not new, and they will never stop. So, uh, hate the player and hate the game, I guess. But let's go to hockey. Soccer's coming. We'll talk a
Yeah,
lot
let's
about
do that
soccer.
hockey. Let's
Yeah,
do that hockey.
we'll talk.
Well,
Yeah,
we're recording on the night of Tuesday, May 26th, and the Colorado Avalanche were just eliminated in 4 games by the Vegas Golden Knights. It was a wildly documented collapse, much anticipated by some people, while others say that it was an upset. I never really thought it was an upset. We all know that I'm an Avalanche fan here, right? Like this isn't news. This isn't an update of any kind. Um, every single hockey podcast on the planet is going, whoa, 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 Avalanche fans were all saying this was going to be a walk in the park. Vegas wasn't going to be doing anything. Dude, I never said that once, and I am friends with a lot of Avalanche fans. I don't know a single one of them that wasn't shaking in their boots the second Anaheim didn't manage to squeak by Vegas. I
well,
was
Vegas have
like, yeah,
won. It's six
yeah,
games in a row now.
yeah. I've been scared of Vegas the whole time. I've just been hoping that one of these two teams, these upstart young teams that the Golden Knights got to play in the first and second round, that'd be the Mammoth and the Ducks. I was really hoping that one of them was able to take enough of a piece of them out so I wasn't gonna have to deal with this. But no, dude, these guys really are good. I don't know where the I don't know the low projections on them were coming from. They had a really bad 20 game stretch from about game 55 to 75 in the regular season. Other than that, they've been lights out. One of the big things that I noticed is in when you watch the Colorado Avalanche, what are three things you notice about their attack?
Speed, intent, and I want to say relentlessness, but I just watched that not be the case.
So, and
Generally,
why do you think that wasn't the case? And that's a rhetorical question because I'm
yeah, I
going
was
to
gonna
answer that
say,
for you.
yeah, go ahead.
Because the Golden Knights, they're still playing with Bruce Cassidy's system, which was a highly effective system. But now that system just has a little sprinkle, but not like a little sprinkle, like grabbing some garlic and just throwing it in the pot of John Tortorella hockey. And John Tortorella was the coach of the New York Rangers for much of the 2010s. And that Rangers team was filled with defensemen who, no matter what they wanted to do, if you're in the defensive zone, you put your body in front of it. I don't really care what you have to say about that. You block every single shot. Shea
Dan
Theodore and Braden
Girardi,
McNabb
bro.
yeah, Shea Theodore and Braden McNabb have transformed into Dan Girardi and Mark Stahl.
Yeah,
It's insane. I feel like I'm getting deja vu. I watched that Rangers team through all of those playoff runs, and dude, it's crazy. I after game two, I no, halfway through game two, I was just like, well, it's over. It's absolutely over. For one, um, the Avalanche attack is not even relatively the same without Cale Makar and Valeri Nichushkin and Arturi Lehkonen all being healthily available.
I feel like Nathan McKinnon is also not healthy at all right now.
McKinnon hasn't been healthy since the Olympics.
Yeah. Oh, not in the Olympics either, to be fair.
Yeah. I think like 3 days into the Olympics, around then something happened. Whatever it is, he's been able to play through.
He kind of looked like he kind of looked like a little bit more than Alexander Ovechkin today, where sometimes it was just like I could just tell he just wants to go stand in a spot, try to be effective from a stationary position, but
Yeah.
he had to push through. It kind of reminded me of Draisaitl against the Kings in that series, where he was like, I remember the commentators were like, "Wow, he might be the most effective stationary hockey player I've ever seen,"
Yeah.
because he couldn't move. And yeah, McKinnon McKinnon kind of reminded me of that. So yeah, you're
I
right. At
think
the end of the
Makar has a
day,
torn labrum.
yeah, yeah. Well, I also used I said McKinnon was reminding me of Ryan Kessler against Boston in 2011 because
Mm, yeah.
I don't remember what he tore, but there was something there too. And
Yeah.
well, I mean, hey, it's Tuesday
McKinnon, it
night.
seems like it could be like a core muscle thing.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what it
Yeah.
was with Kessler too.
Yeah.
Um, it's Tuesday night, so we're gonna hear about it. I'm sure it's the long-standing tradition of dropping the laundry list of injuries right after you get
And
eliminated.
like usually when you watch the Avalanche in playoffs, Arturi Lehkonen is the unsung hero. He is one of the most important players on the ice. He was a non-factor through every game he played this series, which was I think three of the four.
I think Yoel Kiviranta was better than him this series. Just I was just thinking Finnish players. I
Kivy
noticed
just
him
got
today.
back in the lineup.
Yeah, I noticed him today. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
Kivy just got back in the lineup for Nichushkin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nichushkin not present. He was very clearly injured all of playoffs.
Yeah.
That was really unfortunate. One of the other, I mean, I'm kind of grasping at straws here, but there was a kind of positive and interesting thing to come out of this. I read a little bit about the technology Gabriel Landeskog's been using all year to be able to play and be able to train and be able to do everything. He has a bunch of sensors attached to his calves and his feet and in his skates and in his shoes. And those sensors trigger little different micro movements. And those micro movements are able to predict when he is going to start feeling overworked in the areas that he has had to regrow and retrain. So he feels it before he would have to stop. Because before it would be like, okay, no, I've overdone it. Now I need to take a few weeks off. Now he's able to feel it before that happens and be like, okay, I can't practice today. Okay, I need to stick to this today. Okay, no, none of that for a little while. And so far, so good. He was able to play most of the season. and all of playoffs. I guess
He scored their
the
last goal. There you go,
yep,
Captain Gabe.
and the burning question for Colorado Avalanche fans right now is probably uh, what's going to happen with the blue line and in net. In net, you have your two goalies, but it's clear that you can't not know who the starter is. Like that just can't really work. We've gone back and forth a few times, and then one of them will end up having a great game, and then you take it off of that guy and give it to the other guy. Um, one of them always looks significantly better than the other one. But like I think you still need a starter and a backup. The other thing with the blue line is that in the regular season, when Cale Makar was out, Sam Malinsky was able to pop into his spot and be able to do, 55, 60% of what he does. And that was good enough. But in the playoffs, that is not enough. Whenever Malinsky was called upon to be the guy quarterbacking and moving the puck around from the top of the offensive zone, right, the blue line, he couldn't make that just got the puck second pass. Like give it to a guy, get it back, send it into the other corner to the right guy. He couldn't do that play. And then he also, every time he shoots the puck, he misses the net. He can't get a sitter through to the net. Every single time he shoots, he misses. I was looking at it. He has like two shots that whole series on like probably like 25 opportunities. It's just not enough. Him and Manson, I love both of them as defensemen. That is not a playoff second pair, unfortunately. The for one reason. I mean, they do great in the defensive zone, but as soon as the going gets tough, they can't get it up the ice. So it's just not really good enough. The President's Trophy curse keeps going. Colorado Avalanche, best team of the regular season. They just, for one reason or another, they weren't really good enough. Aiden, I can blame injuries, but the bottom line is Vegas was a better team.
Yeah, I think both is appropriate. I know we had an episode already, or else I would have called this episode "War of Attrition" because I like the phrase, but that is what the
Hmm.
playoffs are. We already had an episode years
I
ago
think you
called
kind of
that.
have to call it the house always wins.
That there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
James has dropped the bar. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, they did. Frankly, they did. Um, I just I don't love sitting here giving Carter Hart flowers, but he's been really, really good
He was
in
the
these
difference maker in
playoffs.
that series, man.
Yeah. Um,
If they
Mitch
had Aiden
Marner,
Hill in net, that was a different series.
yeah, Mitch Marner, Jack Eichel, and Pavel Dorofeyev all look so confident. Like that's the biggest thing with them, and they're playing awesome, so they have every reason to be confident. But it's so much swagger in that line. I think like that's what hit me today. Was Dorofeyev got absolutely robbed by Blackwood twice today,
That was
but
really
it just
nice.
it did not phase them. It did not phase him. It didn't phase the line. And then you know what? It wasn't even that I noticed Dorofeyev march down and do something else cool in the offensive zone. No, it was Eichel and Marner were the ones always in the way blocking shots, right? Like Jack
Yeah.
Eichel has turned into a very good two-way hockey player, and Mitch Marner always has been. He just never had got enough credit for it until I guess recently, where he got some Selke Trophy love.
Aiden, was this the same Vegas team you saw in round two against the Ducks? Because for me, it wasn't.
Not until the game five, because after game four, I genuinely, because Anna, yeah, when it was 2-2, I was like, Vegas has to, like, I was worried that if they lost game five at home, it was it. They were going to lose game six on the road in Anaheim.
Mhm.
That's when a switch seemed to flip, was after game four.
I think the game changer was getting William Karlsson fully healthy back into the lineup all of a sudden out of the blue because now you have Mitch Marner not playing center and you have a dynamite two-way forward who with a great scoring threat and sense of ability just all of a sudden able to take over.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, Vegas,
Oh,
man.
and Thomas Hurdle waking up in game three.
Yeah. Oh,
He
that
took
goal.
30 games off, but all of a sudden he's awake.
Yeah, I watched that goal and I was like, well, wasn't that 4-3 from 3-0 that nice goal he scored in game three?
Yeah, I don't want to
Okay.
talk about that game.
Well, I genuinely like when that went in, I was like, that's how this series ends right there. Like
Yeah.
3-0, he absolutely dances Malinsky, puts a beautiful backhand shot home, And that's where I was like, ugh. Like I just kind of shook my head and looked down. I was like, this is it. Oh, okay, it's over. And here we
It's
are.
a burning question for the Colorado Avalanche heading into the off season. Everybody's starting to talk about it now, and they're all saying, "Oh, well, their window definitely isn't opening, but is it closing?"
No, Colorado's window isn't closing, and I'm usually the first to like see a trend line like this, right? Where it's oh the warning signs are there, and then say, oh well, it's time, burn it all down, take it all down. That's usually me. No, man, like they have the second best forward in the world and the best defenseman in the world, surrounded by a bunch of very good players. They need to spend 3 years really going at it before you can call it quits, I think. Right? Like you
I
have at
don't think they're going to
least
call it quits after that 3 years because after
no,
that
no,
three
no,
years, you
no.
can have a 34-year-old McKinnon and a what 28-year-old McCarr.
Yeah, and it would be kind of the same situation that Edmonton's in right now, right? Where you know the time's ticking, but you're just going to go for it one more, kind of like Pittsburgh. But by that point, Colorado will be like Pittsburgh this year.
Right. Okay.
But as far as
Or
contention
Pittsburgh
window,
3 years ago.
yeah, yeah, I guess so. As far as contention window, it's not closing. It's closing in that all of our lives are closing because the end is inevitable, just like the end of the Colorado Avalanche is inevitable. But it's not as if we're gonna be looking at this team next year and they're fighting for a
I think
wild
I
card
think one of the
spot.
reasons people go about this is because the Avalanche have the oldest roster in the NHL, which is 30.7 years. But if you look at the NHL 10 to 40 years ago, that would not be the oldest team in the league. The reason this is the oldest team is because bad teams are all incredibly young now, where it used to be a bad team had a bunch of veterans and a couple rookies. So,
Plus,
I mean, yeah, it's a different league now.
take like two guys off that Avs roster, and the average age drops too. Like,
Brent Burns not on the roster. They are not the oldest team in the NHL.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
But yeah, let's take things to the East, man. Carolina and Montreal have a hell of a series going on so far. Uh, the Carolina Hurricanes have an awful history in the last period of time, whatever period of time you want to call it, in the Eastern Conference Finals. But this year looks different so far. Up 2-1 so far. Coming back to it on Wednesday. What are you thinking? I don't really think this is the same Hurricanes facing Demons thing anymore. And above all else, I think the inefficiencies of the Montreal Canadiens are really starting to show.
yes, there's a pessimistic piece of me that watched game 3, and when that Caulfield offside goal got overturned, I was like, that is the series right there. And the,
I thought it was the series when Lane Hudson bobbled the puck on a terrible, risky breakout hope play after shimmy shaking his hips for no particular reason, and then all of a sudden there was a Hurricanes goal in the back of the net. I believe that was a Taylor Hall goal.
wasn't that the overtime goal? I'm pretty sure you're
Oh
thinking of
yeah,
the
the
overtime
overtime one.
goal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was the
yeah.
overtime one. Ehlers.
Because yeah, he
Yeah,
he he threw it away in the middle of the ice.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's the difference between these two teams.
yeah, I get that. I do. I called it. It was actually a Noah Dobson penalty, and I said I was watching with Caitlin and my dad, and I was like, you know what? That is the difference between a Marty St. Louis team and a Rod Brindamore team, because it was just kind of a play Dobson didn't need to make. He threw a hit in the middle of the ice. He got a 2-minute interference penalty for it. It took away a lot of Montreal's momentum. It was after Dobson had the goal knocked off the board. So everything was in Carolina's hands. And that's the difference between a player-friendly coach and not a player-friendly coach. I don't think Rob Brindamore is a player-friendly coach. I think he demands a lot out of his players all the time, and you just don't have those split seconds, momentary lapses on a team where every second of your game is scrutinized the way it is in Carolina. Marty St. Louis has had to do this because he has a young team that needed to grow, that needed to gain confidence under him. But you get to a point in the Eastern Conference Final where if you're Lane Hudson, you can't be doing that. If you're Cole Caulfield, there's mistakes you can't be making that they are making. And it is just I think it's a learning experience, and I think I saw a post on social media today. It's like, oh, was this the best chance Montreal's ever going to have? It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. This team will be back. It will like they're excellent. They will always be there in the Atlantic Division for the foreseeable future. They will be a contender to win the second round, win that whatever Atlantic Division final, as now it always has to be because of the frickin' division playoff structure. But this is clearly a learning year. I think if you're Montreal, you take the positives, mainly the fact that Jakub Dobeš is your starter. You don't need to wait for a prime Jacob Fowler. You have a guy that Fowler can 1B him for a while. I'm talking like this series is over. It is only 2-1.
It's
But
far from over. This is gonna go like 6 games at least.
yeah, it's just that I just watched Montreal put 24 shots on goal in the last 8 periods of hockey combined.
The word that I've been using to my friends for what Vegas is going to do to whoever wins this series, I can't say on this
Yeah,
podcast,
I was gonna
but
say
I'll say it to Aiden and he can edit it out right now. Maybe he can put a bleep over it.
I don't even want to worry about
I think the
that.
Vegas Golden Knights are gonna suck the winner of the Eastern Conference.
I hope not.
That was a good word, huh?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope they don't. But
I think it's over, man. Yeah, I think it's fully over. I guess looking at some cool and interesting things from this Eastern Conference Final, Demidov has fully arrived and figured out playoffs. He looks absolutely insane. That guy is a freak. He looks exactly like Nikita Kucherov did in 2015, except maybe a little bit more ballsy maybe. For better or for worse, there are some positives and negatives to that. The coaching matchup of Rod Brind'Amour and Marty St. Louis marks the sixth time in NHL history that I can't remember the full list, but that players of Hall of Fame caliber, and you have to say caliber because Rod Brind'Amour is not in the Hall of Fame, even though he has been on the short list to get in many times. Of that caliber are matching up as coaches in the last couple rounds of playoffs. Yeah, there were names like Toe Blake in there and Al Arbor and stuff like that, and a lot of names that most of the people listening to this podcast would be like, sure, don't know who that is. But to me, those are all-time NHL legends and the people who all these stories are written about and stuff like that. But yeah,
speaking of, did you know that Red Kelly, or did you know it was on the broadcast yesterday? Red
Red
Kelly,
Kelly was a defenseman for the Detroit Red Wings and won cups with them, and the Toronto traded for him so that he could play center for them to shut down Jean Beliveau.
and then he won 4 more cups with them. But he
Yeah.
is Mark Jankowski's uncle. That is
Yeah.
absolutely that's crazy. I no part of me.
Great uncle.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
Red Kelly won 4 cups as a defenseman with Detroit. Got traded, switched to center, won 4 more cups.
Yeah.
That is yeah one of the craziest career trajectories. But it was at a time with 6 teams in the league.
Yeah.
If Carolina are going to give Vegas any run for their money, I'm going to pick on a line. Obviously, it is Andrei
Red Kelly
Svechnikov.
lived 92 years.
I knew that actually. No, I did not know
You
he
didn't,
passed away at 92. I knew he was old when he passed because I
you knew that
remember
he was old.
yeah, I remember being like I remember seeing him do hockey stuff, whether it's like a hockey show or a hockey interview and being like, "You are an old man. You like I was impressed that you are there doing the interview, but boy, you do not have to be doing this anymore."
No. Dude, that guy just loved hockey. He was born in 1927 in Simcoe, Ontario. Hell yeah. More of that. More of that. And for this Eastern Conference final, what do you think Montreal needs to beat the Hurricanes? A miracle?
Put shots on net. Like
No, they don't do that. They
I know
don't do that at all. I've been
they've made
cheering against Montreal for several rounds now at this point because they just don't play hard enough to get the win. But they randomly get these hope plays that work out, and then they just get a game seven overtime win. Like we're gonna talk about a little bit of second round farewells for teams that didn't make it. I don't think Montreal deserved to make it at all, but they did. That's part of playoffs. That's part of the structure of how it all works. But they were not the better team in their last series.
Okay. Um, Speaking of, we can go there.
You want to go there? I guess we'll talk more Montreal and
I-
Carolina in a
I'll,
week.
I'll just I'll float this down the middle for you. This Buffalo Sabres team kind of reminds me of the 2023-24 Vancouver Canucks. And it's a little bit worrying in that capacity where everything came together. A relatively the coach got the best out of everybody. They won the first round dramatically, and then they lost in game 7 in the second round, and then everything went downhill from there.
I don't
I
think there is enough roster comparables for me to have that vibe.
Yeah.
And I think the coaching experience is a whole different ball game. I think the management structure is a completely different ball game. I don't see it. I get where you're going,
Yeah.
but I think where you're going is that you're worried that this team is not going to be present next year.
Next year, the pieces are all there, right? And you got some clicking this year. Tage Thompson is so polarizing to me, dude. Like I was talking about it. I was talking about Mike Matheson in this capacity. Tage Thompson is the most any way the wind blows player. Like he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and he's going to be useless for every one of the 25 minutes you put him on
Page?
the ice. Yes. But he wakes up on the right side of the bed and he's unplayable. He's an
And
absolute
sometimes he's on
machine.
the right side of the bed for like 60 games straight. It's happened a
40
couple
goals
times.
this year. Yeah. Rasmus Dahlin was the best player in that series, right? I mean,
Most
Jakob
points by a
Dobj.
defenseman in an elimination game with 1 goal and 4 assists, 5 points.
Yeah, Jakob Dobj was the best player for Montreal, but Rasmus Dahlin, yeah, it's his team. He's behind the steering
Oh,
wheel.
by the way, I bought into the way you were saying Dobish until I heard him say, "I am Jakub Dobish." Yeah, I'm off the Dobsh train. He said, "I am Jakub Dobish"
Oh, okay.
in an interview now. I've been in my head saying everyone is wrong, Aiden is right this whole time for like
Yeah,
a year now,
yeah.
and now I'm off the train.
There's the anglicized versions of European names that sneak up on you.
Yeah, yeah, they do. But you're right. He probably was the best player in this series, if not Dalian.
Yeah.
If not Dalian.
I hope they're back next year, James. That's all I got. Well, I think Buffalo, Montreal, if both these teams play their cards right, we could see this be the second round out of the Atlantic Division at least one more time, if not multiple, with the roster construction, the age. Um,
Well, I'm done
late,
telling you that Detroit's going to be the team that makes it.
yeah, that's fair. Um, yeah, okay. Let's go to the other Eastern semifinal because we talked about Carolina just outclassing Montreal. There's even less to say about this series against Philadelphia. Like, I'm sorry, Philly. You didn't have a chance. It was obvious you didn't have a chance. This was a seasoned Carolina team who looked like sharks that smelled blood in the water the entire time. I do not think
I felt
Philadelphia.
bad
Yeah,
watching that.
and I don't think Philadelphia was better than Pittsburgh. I said this in the last episode. I know Stuart Skinner didn't specifically crap the bed, but I still think Shelovs would have won 4 of 6 of those games
Yeah.
had he started them. So yeah, there's a piece of me that was like, "Oh, you're lucky to be here, have fun," but then it was so obviously not fun at all. Like, no part of it would
Yeah.
have been fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I get
Okay,
that.
also, every NHL team should be licking their chops to go to the Philadelphia Flyers and try to get Matvey Michkov because Rick Tocchet is giving Matvey Michkov the full Vasily Podkolzin, where I don't like something your Russian butt did, so guess what? That butt is stapled to my bench until you
I know we're
die there.
PG, but I hearing you say "but" is like it's like I can't do it. There's this like hockey card YouTube account that I watch, and he'll be like, "I don't give a frick. I don't give a rat's butt." And it's like it's just terrible. I it hurts.
Well, you know me in real life where it's the extremes. It's either I'm just spewing
Yeah.
crap that cannot be repeated or recorded, or
Yeah.
I use very infantile terms. Like I will call something poopy often.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've heard that. I've heard
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah, you bust out the toilet terminology.
Yeah, where yeah, so it's either you can't say it around anybody, or it would kind of actually be appropriate to hear it out of a 3-year-old's mouth. So that series ended in 4. The next series that we're going to talk about, we're going to flip to the West. It ended in 5. Um, I expected way more. Like I kind of figured Philadelphia was going to get smacked around, but Minnesota, dude, like what happened?
Well, when you have a team that has
Other
three
than Eric
centers on
Sinek,
the
yeah,
you have a team that
yeah,
has three centers on the entire roster, and one of them is a top six center. Probably not a first line center, but that one isn't present. All of a sudden, you have a third line right winger playing first line center. That's not going to get you there. That's not going to work. I think the loss of Jonas Brodin, in addition to Eriksson Ek, that was quite terrible because if you're missing one guy from your first PK unit, you can go next man up. But then there's two guys missing from your first PK unit. That's just not okay. That's not good at all. I didn't see an injury update on Brodin after the series ended. Didn't really check that out, but I didn't hear anything. Yeah, that Eriksson Ek thing was a big mess, and it has been previously documented that Bill Guerin, was really heavily pursuing a top six center at the deadline, but he ultimately decided that it wasn't worth it to pay the price for some of the things that were out there. Everybody knows that he's probably talking about Vincent Trocheck. Probably.
Robert Thomas, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah, maybe that. That could be what it is.
Brock Faber looked good in these playoffs.
Really good.
Yeah, he
That guy continues to
obviously,
impress.
yeah, he had a sophomore bad year, right? He had the sophomore slump. I think
He's
people,
a better skating right-handed Ryan Suter.
yes, yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
he's better offensively. By
No,
like,
Suter was that good offensively. He just never really played that way.
no, yeah, I kind of remember that, but Ryan Suter was also again, I remember him being a pretty overrated defenseman personally. But he was an absolute minute machine. Like so
You think he was overrated?
Ryan Suter, yeah,
Oh
I
wait, you were
never,
also six in his
yeah,
prime.
I never bought into the Ryan Suter hype personally.
No, he was probably the best defensive defenseman in the league for most of his career, and when he wanted to turn it on, he was quite good offensively. He had a hat trick once.
He had a hat trick once.
Yeah, he was quite good, man. Quite good. Definitely not
I
overrated.
I remember him going from Shea Weber's partner to the guy on Minnesota that just plays 30 minutes a night.
Yeah, they don't do that for no reason.
Oh, I know. I
And that
know.
Minnesota team made playoffs every year.
Almost, but yes, I understand what you mean. The goaltending of the Wild needs to obviously, just grow up a little bit, right? Like Jesper Volstedt had that game one where he just got absolutely shilled by Colorado. I kind of think it's almost, a little bit of what you said with the Avs, where you do maybe need to figure out who your starting goalie is, because it was Volstead, then it was Gustafson, then it was Volstead again. James, obviously the Quinn Hughes trade for Minnesota, everybody in Minnesota, everybody in the team is going to tell you that it was great and it did wonders for the squad, and it did. They'd make it again. Vancouver would make it again. They're lucky to have Quinn Hughes. They'll tell you that. But it's like you said, it's the centers. And as much as Marco Rossi as much as Marco Rossi maybe, like Marco Rossi wouldn't have been what moved the needle to a Minnesota Wild Stanley Cup. The fact that they traded him and then just did not replace him is a huge problem, right? Like
Yeah.
obviously you had to put together a big package for Hughes, but you're right. It might not have been Trocheck. It probably was never going to be Robert Thomas because he just gave up the sun and the moon for Quinn. But it needed to be somebody. And yeah, Eriksson Ek goes
You're
down.
telling me there wasn't like a, I don't know, it's kind of a bad example, but like a Dylan Strome level player out there?
Yeah, yeah. Ryan Strome's currently sitting on Hockey Night in Canada. I feel like he
Yeah,
could have been useful.
totally. And the Flames picked him up for what, a sixth rounder just to fill a hole for the young guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was a cap dump for Anaheim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, speaking
So
of Anaheim, let's go there. They were fun. I
they
liked
were a
it.
lot of fun. I'm excited to see more.
Yeah.
Caleb bought like a $700 Leo Carlson hard signed autographed rookie card graded 10 at the sports only card show on the weekend. I thought that was quite dope.
That's awesome. I collect jerseys more than sports cards. So when you like were starting that, I was expecting like a Leo Carlson, like a crazy Leo Carlson signed jersey.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Signed jerseys have a cap unless they're game worn.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And I don't like collecting something so big that it's hard to move around.
yeah. If you're gonna put it in a
I could put all my
frame,
things in a box.
yeah. I'm looking around. I just set up my desk in Maple Ridge, and I can see around my screen is hockey cards on the wall, both that James gave me and that I had myself. I see that there's the Drake Batherson one there.
Oh
Gunther's
yeah.
over here. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So good for Caleb. That's a sweet card. That's a
I
sweet
should
pickup.
mention I picked up a Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane dual hard signed autograph card from the Cup, which is the most expensive hockey card set. That was cool.
I saw those pictures.
Yeah, yeah, that was quite dope.
You have in the rundown playoff ducks were fun dash Dostal.
Yeah,
And we
dude,
will
because he's supposed to be an elite goalie, and I don't think he found his game once the entire playoffs.
I agree. Yeah,
So I
I'm
think you probably have another year of screwing around and this team definitely making playoffs, but if he sucks next year, you really have to address that.
yeah, I agree. I'm not expecting it at all, dude, because he's 25. Right? This is his third year as a starting goalie and it's his first year in the playoffs. Those are facts. Period.
So there was a there with the Nashville Predators when they were first starting to get good in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Pekka Rinne was bursting onto the scene, and he had one really bad playoff round. And the talk of the town was, okay, we'll play next season and we'll try him again in playoffs. But like if he sucks in playoffs again, we got to get rid of him. He never sucked in playoffs again.
Until
And
the
that
Stanley Cup
conversation is a
final.
forgotten conversation other than me going off about it pointlessly right now.
Pekka Rinne in the 2017 playoffs was an absolute god. He was a
Yeah.
demigod for 3 rounds and then just absolutely fell off a cliff against the Pittsburgh Penguins. But
He was having
never
some hip
forget,
issues.
yeah, never forget the first 3 rounds of the playoff Pekka Rinne. I picked
I just
Nashville
think
in that
that like
final on his back.
there's probably other young goalies out there that could grow with this team, and there's a lot of time with this core to cycle in and out goalies. But when you think you have a lot of time, that starts to become your biggest enemy. Because you think, oh, I've got all this time, I've got all this time to sort it out. And next thing you know, you're the Leafs and you've done nothing in 9 years with the core.
Yeah, I also think the Leafs never once addressed the problem, but besides putting a band-aid on it. It's kind of like Edmonton, where like Stuart Skinner was the stitches that kept bursting, and they just kept covering up the cut over and over again. I think
I think Toronto had
Dostal,
the right goalie like four times, but that goalie just always got injured.
I think Dostal is different than
I
that.
like to think so too,
Yeah,
but I just think it's worth keeping an eye on. Another thing that I would like to mention was I haven't seen anything I've liked out of Owen Zellweger for a year and a half until he got slotted in for the Ducks second round against Vegas.
yeah.
His game has matured significantly, and that's a piece that's worth keeping around. I thought he was just going to be trade bait at this point, but no, I'm pretty happy with what I saw.
I think they have to decide on a Olen Zellweger or Pavel Mintyukov, which trajectory do you want to try and ride,
Well,
and
one
which
of them
one?
is going to be their second pair of left-handed defensemen,
And
and
I
the
think
other
the
one
other
is
one
not.
gets traded.
Yeah,
That's my thought.
yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. I don't know if I agree with you to say that that means they're going to keep him. I actually think there's the piece of it where it's like, guys, look at this sample size. Look how good he was there.
On the other
You
hand,
want to give
Colorado
me a
was
first
very
round
good
pick?
with Sam Girard on their third pair for quite a while.
Yeah, well, and look at what Buffalo did. Buffalo has four top four left shot defensemen on their team.
Yeah,
like
which I
Matthias
think is pretty
Samuelson.
chill.
Yeah, Matthias Samuelson probably not for much longer, which is interesting because I think he's the one they needed to make work. But
You think they're
Samuelson
moving him?
apparently he's not happy with his role. That was the Pagnota thing I
This is
saw.
the best season he's had.
Yeah, yeah, but role being Owen Power
Okay,
and
but
Rasmus
I'm
Dahlin and Bowen Byram are taking my
yeah,
minutes. I understand that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's
yeah,
totally fair. All of those guys take turns being really good, just Darlene more often than the rest.
yeah.
So what does Samuelson think he's going to do? Does he think he's going to go be a top pair anchor number one defenseman somewhere?
Would he not be kind of a dream come true to pair with a really good right shot defenseman, number one? I kind of look at Matthias Samuelson. I'm like,
I
he's Devon
guess, but
Taves in the right
if
spot.
he's if he says he's unhappy with his role, then like I then I imagine he wants to be the guy.
It could be role, it could be opportunity, right? There's
Okay,
a big
yeah.
difference between being the second pair left shot defenseman on Buffalo, where it's like Dahlin's ahead of me, and Power and Byram are also cycling in and out of my spot, and I don't get power play time because of that.
Mm.
Anyways, Anaheim were, yeah, really fun. Zellweger was great in the second round. I really like the fact that every forward on the Ducks did kind of come around in the end. Like they weren't all super consistent, right? But eventually everybody had great stretches. And again, it's kind of like Montreal, where this is the first, not the last, and there will be more of this Anaheim Ducks team. Beckett Seneke really impressed me in the second round. I thought he started like he looked like he looked like a deer in headlights in the first few games of that first round for Anaheim. But he scored a couple
Dude picked
goals
it
late in
up.
that series. Yeah, he turned into a player. Cutter Gauthier is fully Cutter Gauthier, man. This is a power forward top six stud that
I don't
Anaheim.
even say top six. The guy's an elite first liner.
Yeah, he's probably yeah he's a first line player. Good for Anaheim picking this guy up.
Someone said to me, I think fairly intoxicated, and like it didn't really make much sense, but like I kind of got what he was going for. That Cutter Gauthier is who Mitch Marner thinks he is.
Okay,
Like he has the swagger that Mitch Marner thinks he has.
he had okay sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I feel like right now is maybe not the time to be
No,
taking
no,
pot
no, no,
shots at
no. This was
Marner.
like a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, still. But um okay, that was the Ducks. Vegas were just better than them in the last two games. They smacked them around. I think Anaheim Icarus a little bit
Yeah.
flew too close to the sun there, and Vegas burned them. Lucas Justel has to be better next year, but that is the playoffs, James. One other thing happened today. Okay, Yevgeny Malkin signed a 1 year, $5.5 million contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins. We're not going to do it right now because I didn't prepare for it and it would take too much time to do the math. I want to go through and I want to figure out how many years and how many millions of dollars did Yevgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby save the Pittsburgh Penguins over their careers. Like this isn't. I know how old he is, but at the end of the day, this is just
Wasn't
another.
he making $9.5 million when the biggest contract in the NHL was 10?
Yeah, yeah, but that was like he was in his prime making six something, right?
No.
I think he was. Because the
I think you
biggest
said nine
contract in
and
the
a half.
NHL, okay, the biggest contract when he was in his prime in the NHL was 9.5 on Ovechkin when he was in his prime.
Hmm.
Malkin's
Interesting.
9.5 was
He
the second contract. It wasn't well. It wasn't the one he got two
nine and a half
three.
was his second. His
Yeah,
first was also 8.7.
eight. So it was the same as Crosby. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, it was 6-1 was this one. Yeah. Okay. I knew we had a six in there somewhere.
Yeah, 6-1 from 2022 to 2026.
Yeah.
Which, yes, you're right, could have been more for sure.
Yeah. I think
But
you build
yeah,
them both statues.
that contract signing's pretty cool, but also pretty disappointing for some reasons because I heard people speculating that like Malkin and Bill Guerin were used to play together, blah blah blah. Maybe he could be the 1 year hired gun to go be the missing top six center in Minnesota. That was really exciting, except I just didn't see Malkin in a Wild jersey whatsoever. That just didn't. No.
Dude, you if you're Pittsburgh, like I'm thinking about them both coming back next year. Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr are icons, but I think these are the best Penguins in franchise history. I'm sorry. Like Sidney Crosby especially, I'll obviously Lemieux is probably above so many other players. I think personally, when you go back and you watch old highlights, Lemieux might have been the most talented player of all time. He just got hurt and then got cancer, and so the stats and the numbers weren't there to back Gretzky. But man, like these careers that these Pens have had, I just saw Malkin sign and I was like, if I'm a Pittsburgh fan, I'm just my heart is breaking knowing that this is the end of these two guys. And they had a great year. They had a bad first round, but
We've been
man,
saying this is the end for like four
yeah,
years.
I know. And over and over again, they just go back. And
And they've been picking up good prospects and young players for the last 2 years. Things are starting to seem kind of cool.
I
I think
also
I
I
think
love
they're
the
going to
fact
keep
that
slowly picking up prospects and young players, and then Malkin, Crosby, Letang, and Carlson are all going to be gone the same season. And then that year, they're going to have a bunch of young guys, and they're going to like be like Chicago level bad, like they were this, like how bad Chicago was this year. But they're going to have a bunch of like 22 to 24-year-olds who are all like about ready to pop as like second pair defensemen, top six forwards type thing. And then they're going to end up dead last, and then they're going to get the guy. They're going to get like Maddox Schultz or whatever his name is. You know who I'm talking about?
yeah,
I
yes, I
think he's
know what
like
you're
13
talking
years
about.
old.
He's not 13. He's like 15 now. You're allowed to
Oh,
be
he's
hyped
16
about
as of
these
March.
guys. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're going to get him. Future Pittsburgh Penguin Maddox Schultz.
That's a good call.
Yeah,
I'm already calling future Calgary Flame Landon DuPont, so
yeah.
we'll
That's
see.
easy, dude.
Yeah.
Easy,
Well, I
easy.
think yeah, I think you can say Pittsburgh's going to get one. I actually do think Washington's going to get one too.
Well, yeah,
Now
that's just right.
yeah, now that we know this draft lottery isn't real, we can just, you know,
That's a
have
take.
the outlook. We can just have the outlook.
That's a take.
Yeah.
One other thing, we talked Mark Jankowski earlier this year, earlier this pod, I mean. He's floated around the NHL quite a bit in the last decade. He has always been known to me as the guy who was drafted in the first round by the Calgary Flames when he was projected to go in the fourth round.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah, I'll never
That's
forget that.
funny.
I remember like the audible shock from Gord Miller, just going, yeah, okay. And kudos to him. That's amazing. Love that for him. But he got to sign an extension with Carolina during the break between the second and third round. And you got to think the boys must just love that. They love that. They've got this break. They're playing golf once every few days together, taking up a whole course with the whole team playing golf. And they get to see one of their boys just like while they're golfing make like $3 million. It's amazing. That's the mojo that they're carrying into this series against Montreal. Aiden, before we finish talking hockey here, I think my final prediction for that series is Carolina in six.
Yeah, I think it's all game four. It's all game four.
I've got one career trajectory for you.
Fun.
Actually, I have two. I have an easy one and a hard one. The easy
Okay.
one. We haven't done career trajectories in a while, but after all, this is still the Great Canadian Hockey Podcast, and it ain't the Great Canadian Hockey Pod without a couple great games to play. And we're gonna give you two little rounds today. First one. This is a player who has played from 2010 until now. He's played for the Edmonton Oilers, New Jersey Devils, Arizona Coyotes, Buffalo Sabres,
You can
Boston
stop.
Bruins,
You can
Chicago
stop.
Blackhawks,
You can
and
stop
Carolina
whenever.
Hurricanes. Maybe one short pause for dramatic appeal so the listener can guess.
Okay.
Okay, the listener got to guess.
2010 first overall draft pick Taylor Hall.
And what's missing from Taylor Hall's resume, Aiden?
Until now, literally anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, so Brent Burns is knocked out of playoffs. You know, I always cheer for the guy who just has a cup missing from his legacy. And now Taylor Hall is the player left in the NHL playoffs that I'm down to cheer for. So, as the Avalanche have just been knocked out, go Canes. Go Canes. I've got one more career trajectory for you, if I remember how to talk. This is one that Aiden's not going to get. This player played from 1998 to 2012. He played for the LA Kings, New York Islanders, Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Anaheim Ducks.
Forward or defenseman?
Forward.
Okay. That doesn't narrow it down. Go through one more time.
1998, broke in with the LA Kings. And then after a couple seasons, New York Islanders. After a decent chunk of time, Toronto Maple Leafs. After a couple seasons, headed to the Anaheim Ducks for a swan song for a few years.
Okay, no, I know who it is. It's Jason Blake.
Damn right.
Yeah,
And now you know why I picked this
yeah,
one. Because
yeah,
his
and
son, Jackson Blake, is so fun to watch, dude.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm totally gonna absolutely toot my own horn. I've been meaning to go back, like 4 years ago or something, 3 years ago maybe. I put together like a few like YouTube short TikTok videos just for our channel to get a little bit more engagement.
Yeah.
And there was like a 3-part. I did a bunch of draft stuff, and then at the end, I went a little bit like out there with it. I did a 3-part thing of like, oh, these are drafted. These are guys drafted in late rounds that are gonna look like steals one day, and none of them had played in the NHL yet. And my favorite one was Jackson Blake.
Nice.
Yeah. I've had this guy coming up for a while. He was so good in Nodak, University of North Dakota.
Jackson Blake had what, 51 points this season?
Yeah, and he has 12 and 11 playoff games, I think.
So Jason Blake's best season was 40 goals and 69 total points in 82 games in 06-07. You think Jackson can beat that?
Points, yeah. I mean, it's hard to score 40 goals.
It is hard to score 40, especially if
he,
you play for the Carolina Hurricanes.
yeah. So I mean, I think he's gonna be a superior offensive player to his father. I think we can safely say that.
Well, Jason Blake was one of those guys who's like one of the best forwards on a really bad team, so he just puts up numbers. He was like a Frank Vetrano on the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah.
Yeah, very comparable. Very comparable. But anyway, we look to bring back more of these games. I mentioned last episode we were going to bring you trivia. I didn't prepare much, but I prepared that. We're dipping our toes back in the water. And just before we go, shows and movies. You got anything for me?
Okay. I feel like we sort of. I feel like everything I was gonna say about the boys finale in a negative way.
You already said
I
it
already
last
said it, so
episode.
we're gonna go positive. We're gonna go positives. Greatest, like the Deep's character ending, his last confrontation with Starlight. literally everything about the character in Chase Crawford's response. It's one word, James. It's a facial. It's the physical acting of Chase Crawford when Starlight tells him to stop being a baby and grow up. It's how he like. It's how he ingests that. It's the facial response he makes, and then it's the petulant, childish scream of no. I lost my mind laughing at that. It was literally the best ending that character could have possibly had. It was the best way you could have written it. He acted it perfectly. Absolutely chef's kiss. Probably the best scene in the episode. Everybody who thinks that Homelander's death was out of character, you didn't watch the show properly. Sorry, not sorry. That's exactly what was always going to happen to him. That's exactly who he was on the inside. I wanted to go through that quickly though, James, because
The highlight of the final season was Homelander in the second last episode was when he took over presidency of the United States and being god of the religion of America. Um, which is just outrageous to say. But
is
he
it?
sat down and his first order of business was uh and we need to get rid of milk that isn't milk. Nut milk is the worst thing that's ever happened in this universe.
Okay,
Prime.
so obviously that is his character. It is. There was also a piece of me watching that was like, okay, I know like that's a Homelander character thing, the milk thing. I also
That's one of
thought,
the key features of his character in the comic books.
yeah, yeah, well, and in the show, I kind of was sitting there like, I feel like this is a writer who also has a big beef with nut milk, though. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, this is written as somebody with a bone to pick, and they've wanted to use this character to pick this bone for a while. Anyways, I needed to say, holy crap, James! I watched Drive starring Ryan Gosling. That is
First
how.
time?
Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god. I loved it.
Why were we even talking about the boys? We could have been talking about Drive this whole
Yeah,
time.
it was so
Oh,
good. The understated slow burn, James. Like you don't get. I feel like an old man that's just like rambling, like, oh, it was better in the old days. No, you don't get movies like Drive anymore. You just don't. You don't get the slow burn where
how good was Carey Mulligan?
phenomenal, phenomenal. Also, Ryan Gosling, like maybe top three actual performance of his career. You know, like I know he's kind of a typecast guy, so people don't really think of him as a serious actor, and I sometimes fall into that trap. But
You
he,
do fall into that trap. But you and I have talked about this before, and I've recommended you three
yeah,
movies of his to watch, and this
yeah,
was one of them.
this was one of them, and I did get around to it. I had the song "Night Call" by Kaminsky on my Spotify for a long time, and I didn't know where it was
Oh, you
from.
get it now?
I get it now, and
Yeah,
it's better now too.
yeah,
I liked it before, but
yeah.
ooh, ooh.
Do you know what else was on my you need to watch Ryan Gosling list?
Hmm.
The Place Beyond the Pines.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta watch that.
yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
watch Drive if you like movies. Period. I think genuinely, like this might be my new litmus test. I have a litmus test, James. Whether I and it's really arbitrary and kind of childish. But
One of
I,
my
I
buddies that I watched Drive with, he has terrible taste in movies, and we aren't really friends anymore. But his favorite movies are the Fast and Furious
there you
franchise, and
go.
all of them.
Yeah,
And he thought that the Roadhouse remake with Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor was one of the best movies he's seen.
there you go.
Yeah,
So
yeah. He thought
before
Drive sucked.
yeah, okay. So before my litmus test used to be No Country for Old Men, where I was like, if you can appreciate that movie for what it is, I'm gonna trust your taste in movies. Now I think it's Drive because it's I think it has more broad appeal than No Country for Old Men, but it is still like the parts that you're gonna love about it are the parts where I want to listen to you now to hear movie recommendations from you. If you can appreciate that slow burn, it was one of the best slow burn movies I've seen, just in terms of like the how it crept up on you, how the tension kept creeping up on you, and oh, it was so good. Okay, James, you wanted to be out of here by 10 o'clock, and it's past 10 o'clock.
I've got about a minute and a half to complain to you guys.
Okay.
Aiden, have you ever watched a movie or show where it's completely carried by the score and the special effects? And I'm not talking explosions, I'm talking lighting and film style choices.
I don't know about entirely carried, but yes, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, well, With Euphoria, that wasn't the case. It also had excellent writing as we focused on addiction in youth. It had a very vulgar approach with contrasting characters that just had ridiculous things going on. And then that would be the B story. But the A story was an examination on the desperation that is addiction and what it can do to families and young people in developmental stages of their lives. Well, season three of Euphoria, after multiple years off, is basically they took all of the characters and they thought, what would happen to these guys if they were in the Grand Theft Auto universe? What would they be doing? And so Labyrinth, the highly acclaimed electronic music producer who did the score for the first two seasons, notably, there was Mount Everest and Still Don't Know My Name were the two biggest original songs that he composed for that show, and they were excellently done. The lighting was fantastic. There were so many neon tones that were used to kind of convey the mystery and lostness of it all. Well, all of that's gone, and we have guns, prostitutes, and the whole B story of the whole season is OnlyFans. That's the whole B story. The A story is drug smuggling in a Grand Theft Auto-esque series of events. Labyrinth abruptly left the project and, as per his request, had all of his music removed from the show a month before release. So this show was in the making for about 2 years. They started filming about a year and a half ago. Can you imagine the showrunners going, I don't know what to do now. And so they don't have music in so many of these critical periods. In the first two seasons, there were very, very seldom points of silence. The whole vibe of this show is gone, and anyone I talked to who liked the show is done with it. We had moments through the first 4 or 5 episodes. We just finished episode 7 of 8 this season. In the first 4 or 5 episodes, there were moments. And one thing that saved it, Aiden, was the Nick Offerman season 1 of The Last of Us episode. We
Yes.
had we had an episode kind of like that, where there was a sex worker who we saw her come up and then saw her be taken away at the end of the episode, and she was basically sold into the sex trade and gone from the story. And she had a moment where she goes I'm scared, I'm scared, I don't want to go to this place, I'm scared. And then the main character tells her it's all going to be okay. Well, it's not okay. And that was masterfully done. Like, I cared about this. It pulled me in. And then I forgot about the garbage that was everything else going on in this show. But now, Aiden, I'm just watching it to watch the end of it at this point. Next Sunday, the last episode of this season comes out, and then a week after House of the Dragon season 3 starts. I'm much more excited to watch CGI dragons and swords and big full scale medieval wars than I am to watch some of the worst TV I've seen in a long time. Sam Levinson, the guy in charge of Euphoria, um, he has always had a bit of an experimental approach, and he made a TV show called The Idol with The Weeknd in between season 2 of Euphoria and now. HBO canceled it halfway through the first season airing. It was probably the worst 5 or 6 episodes of TV I've ever seen. The only highlight of it was that Johnny Depp's daughter made one good song. That was the whole thing. But anyway, I digress. I'll stop complaining. We look forward to catching you in the next episode. Aiden is going to bring me some trivia, and hopefully he's going to stump me on something. It's very possible. Thank you all of you guys for listening. Without further ado, let's roll that outro. Thanks, guys.